If you've been learning to get to know your needs and learning to listen to your body, you need to combine these two skills into one. And here's why. You are going to access a whole new level of connection within yourself when you combine these two things together. Listening to your body is getting to know your needs. Getting to know your needs involves listening to your body. So these two paths are meant to cross over at some point in time, and you're gonna save yourself so much time, and it's gonna be so rewarding to be able to connect with yourself through your body. In this video, I'll share with you the most common ways that the body actually speaks your needs, and an exercise that I teach all of my clients so you can start to feel confident, secure in yourself, and walk through life with so much ease in your body because you know that you're taken care of, because you're taking care of yourself. I also have a free guide that I'll share with you towards the end, where I'll mention when we get to the section on the number one biggest way that the body communicates your needs. And if you're new here, which I know you are because I'm also new here on YouTube, I'm Dr. Sarah Lee, and I share all about connecting to your body for self-healing, alignment, and transformation. I'm so excited you're here, whether you found me through YouTube or from Instagram or email. I'm so grateful to have this platform to share with you more in depth about all things healing and transformation. So back to the inner needs. Your inner needs help you break out of patterns like people-pleasing, codependency, perfectionism, low self-worth, all the things that are taking you out of your power and causing you to feel like you're not able to show up as your true, most authentic and empowered self. When you know who you are, what that actually means is that you know your inner needs and you're connected to your body enough that you can act on those needs when you feel that they're not being met. Okay, so knowing your needs helps you to provide to yourself the things that you are currently seeking externally and giving your power away to. Knowing your needs and listening to your body allows you to pull that power back into yourself so that you can give to yourself what you need for healing, for alignment, and for transformation. And I cannot stress this point enough. What not many people know right now is that when you start meeting your own needs for yourself, your body starts to feel safe. And when your body feels safe, it will release physical symptoms too. We're gonna get into that later in this video. For right now, we are gonna talk about the three most common inner needs that express through the body, how they express, and also a body awareness exercise that you can do so that you can start to identify what your body is actually telling you about what you need right now. Okay, so the first need that we're going to discuss today is the need for safety and security. And before we even get into that, I'll give you some context. So there are actually 26 different inner needs that we all universally need for optimal physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And so we're going to be going over the three most common ones that the body often speaks to and we don't even realize here in this video. Okay, so safety and security. Safety and security can mean different things to different people. On a survival level, to me, it's literally being able to say, I'm out of harm's way, protecting yourself from danger, no threat to your actual life, right? And then once that is established on the higher levels, safety and security can also mean having a sense of certainty, order, predictability, and control. Even though those of you on a spiritual path are really learning to let go of control and surrender into the flow and the unknown, intrinsically there is still parts of us that need to anchor into safety and security somewhere, usually deeper within the self, so that we can actually feel safe enough to surrender and control and let go into flow. So the other form of safety that I want to talk to you about is the one that is commonly referred to as safety in the nervous system. So safety in that sense is an actual state in the body. And that's a really nice transition into talking about the actual physical manifestations of the need for safety and security. I have a story for you that is going to illustrate all three of these different types of safety in one. So it all started back in, 3 years ago when I started learning how to surf. And as someone who grew up not around the ocean, I didn't really know how the ocean worked. I didn't know what it was capable of. I didn't know its power. And so there was naturally a lot of fear around that. And I was mesmerized by the ocean, and I was so curious about it. And at the same time, I was afraid of it. And I was especially afraid of big waves. So for the first entire year that I was learning to surf, I remember that every time I would think about going surfing, or when I actually finally got into the water, my body would do the same thing. My heart would start racing, my shoulders would tighten up, and my breath would get really short and shallow. I wasn't really able to even focus on anything. All I was preoccupied with was, how do I keep myself out of harm's way? How do I not hurt myself? Am I safe here to try to learn? Because if you know surfing, sometimes it can be really intimidating to be a beginner surfing in places where people are already at like an expert level. So the whole beginner's mindset thing was hard for me too, and kind of adding to the situation. But what also happened which was really interesting and related to how the body expresses unsafety, lack of safety, is how I noticed like I was actually able to catch waves, but that when I was on the wave, I would just not remember it. Like, it's almost like I was on it and then it would happen and I would black out or something, and then I was already off the wave. I wouldn't even remember what happened while I was on the wave. And it didn't occur to me until a lot later that these were all signs of not feeling safe in my body. The elevated heart rate, the change in breathing, the short and shallow breathing, the cold sweat, the pit in my stomach, the tunnel vision, not being able to see what's happening, and also dissociation and not being able to be present while I was on the wave. These were all signs that my nervous system was in fight or flight. And so what I want to help contrast that with is how I experience surfing now. So after about a year and a half of this, and yes, I did subject myself to this for over a year and a half, which I would not recommend. I mean, I still love surfing, but I'll get into that later about why I wouldn't recommend this type of approach to find safety, but this is what happened for me, so we're just gonna roll with it. After about a year and a half, I had a breakthrough. I had a breakthrough in how my body was experiencing this activity of surfing. And instead of feeling all of these like symptoms that made me feel afraid and just not comfortable in my body, I was actually starting to feel relaxed. For the first time, I still remember, the first time I was actually able to see the full entire wave, and I was able to read it and respond to it, and it was a whole, like, I was actually surfing. I wasn't just catching the wave and then freezing, and then next thing I knew, I was not on the wave anymore. But these were all signs that my body felt safe. My body finally felt safe. And to give you some context of like how I was able to access this safety, it was because after that year and a half of struggling and learning and putting myself through it, I finally gathered the wisdom and the experience to be able to feel safe in that experience. Like, I knew how to read the wave, I knew how the waves break, I knew where to sit and where not to sit. I figured out that how to keep myself safe and away from people's flying boards, and how to go under the wave if I found myself, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Things like that were really helping me master the environment that I was in. And so I no longer had to be afraid. And so now when I go surfing, I feel relaxed. And more so than that, I actually feel excited and I enjoy it, because my body's like, oh, I'm not about to die, or I'm not like, there isn't as much threat as there once was. And I think this story kind of illustrates all three levels of that safety in the body, of just really being rooted in survival response. And then once that survival response kind of feels that need for survival safety is met, then we get to focus on the higher levels of safety, which is having predictability and control, being able to understand how the waves work better and how to keep myself out of danger. And then also, the third element of just like allowing myself to enjoy and be present with what I'm actually doing. Being in your body is actually a huge sign that you feel safe to be here in the moment. And so while I am not recommending that the way to find safety is to subject yourself to a really triggering or activating activity again and again and again, over and over for over a year like I did, if I had known what I know now, I definitely would have done things differently. So moving on to the second need that manifests really clearly in the body, it is the need for authentic self-expression. Self-expression, of course, can mean so many different things. I'm not even going to attempt to explain or cover them all. And what I've noticed is that because our throat chakra governs self-expression, what I've seen a lot of times in clinical practice, and even with myself, is that when we have a block with self-expression and our need for self-expression can't get out there into the world for whatever reasons, there's a real relationship between the inability to self-express and conditions that are affecting physically the throat area, like sore throats, neck pain, thyroid issues, jaw pain, just to name some examples. And to give you a personal example of how this showed up in my body, when I was growing up, I always got these really bad sore throats. Every time I got sick, it just attacked my throat like nothing else. And it would hurt so bad. I would always lose my voice, painful to swallow, everything. And it happened at least a couple of times a year actually for me. And it makes a lot of sense now looking back, because growing up, I never spoke up. I was taught that speaking back was not allowed and that I would be punished if I did. And so that caused me to stuff my feelings and words down into myself and just hold them inside of me and and it made me really afraid to speak my truth, right? And so fast forward till now, I haven't been sick in over 5 years. I don't recall the last time I had a sore throat. It's been such a long time. I had TMJ issues as well, and they were really bad. Almost got to the point where I had surgery when I was a teenager, and I don't quite recall like what exactly happened, but all I know is that now who I am and the way that I speak my truth has also definitely opened up my throat, and it's released my jaw. My jaw now feels looser than it ever has. I don't struggle with any sort of TMJ issues, and it's gotten especially better in the last couple of years as well. And not to mention that speaking is now part of my livelihood. It's what I'm doing with you right now. It's what I do in my courses, my programs. And I did not ever think that I would get here. I was very afraid to use my voice, and I didn't trust myself to say and speak what was on my heart and what was on my mind. And I promise you, if you're in this position too, that it does get better the more that and it does get easier the more that you allow yourself to express. And it does not have to come out perfectly. And that is the whole thing. It's like, I think authentic self-expression, the need for it has to come out. It has to kind of like, you have to sacrifice the perfectionism to allow for the authentic self-expression to come through. And I promise you, your body is also going to thank you for it. Just feeling your intention and desire to express more authentically, it really goes a long, long way when it comes to alignment and coming to your authentic self, and also healing your body, because all those things are connected, like we're talking about now. All right, so the third need that manifests through the body is actually not one need, it's actually 6. So I group them together, but they are these 6 core emotional needs that we all have, and their most common physical manifestation is pain, and in particular chronic pain. I'm going to give you the overview of this concept and just help you start to draw the initial connections between this relationship, because literally I have a 12-week program on this alone, and if I were allowed to just speak on this, we would be here for hours. So our core 6 emotional needs at a glance are to be seen, to be heard, to be held, to be supported, loved, and understood. You may have heard of these before through maybe therapy or a more therapeutic context, and these core needs are so powerful, and I do refer to them as core emotional needs because when we are not receiving our core emotional needs, it affects the core of who we are. So much so that it can internalize it in the body in a way that is so unique, and also often not pretty detrimental to our sense of self, and then it manifests as pain. And if you think about it, it really starts to make sense, because when one or more of these needs is lacking, what do we feel? We feel pain emotionally, right? It hurts to not be seen. It hurts to not be heard or understood, and it's painful to not feel supported or loved or held by those who are around you and that you want to receive that from, and also from within yourself too. It really hurts us long term to not be able to provide these core needs for ourselves. And more abstract thinking comes in when you think about emotions. So emotions are sensations in the body. Every emotion has an associated sensation. Fear creates certain physical sensations in the body. Anger does too. So does joy, so does sadness. And by extension, in my book, feeling hurt could be considered an emotion, and so it has an accompanying sensation in the body as well, and that is physical pain, right? It's not a far jump in the mind-body world to say what hurts you emotionally hurts you physically. Hurt and pain are interrelated. They are almost inseparable, and so this relationship started to become really clear to me when I was spending time specializing in working with women in chronic pain, helping them get to the root when nothing else was working. And I can say that in every single case I saw, and I was working with 95% women, that there was one or more core emotional needs that was going unmet and was at the root of the person's chronic pain. And man, I have so many stories that I could pick from to share right now, but the one that is coming to mind most is there was a woman who came in who was suffering with low back pain that was going down both of her legs, and she had had it on and off for about 4 years at the time. This was a few years ago, but 4 years. And in a matter of, at the time I was seeing people in person, my appointments were 30 minutes long. We would walk through some of the things I'm talking to you about here in this video to draw the connections between the deeper layers. And so for her, when we made the connection that her pain was directly related to her feeling unsupported and unseen by her partner, She had a big emotional release right then and there, and then she walked out of there with no pain. And I kid you not, this was more common in my office than you would think. And it makes me sad to think that pain is not treated holistically in this way much. There's definitely a lot of room for the Western paradigm to grow. That is just speaking to the power of being able to make the connection between your inner needs and how your body is speaking them. And I will say that pain is the most obvious way that the body speaks your needs. It is a literal red flag that your body is waving, saying, hello, please pay attention to me. This hurts a lot. And there are many different ways that you can get in touch with that pain, connect with it, and I teach that in depth inside of my 12-week group program. But for now, we're just gonna keep it at the level of like understanding that this is possible. And that's where my free guide comes in. If you want to go deeper into this part about the 6 core emotional needs and how that might be connected to what you're experiencing physically in your body, then you can get the link to the free guide down in the description box below. And I'm excited for you to dive into that. But for right now, I promised that I would go through a body awareness exercise with you. So I really want to walk you through that so you have something that you can do at home right now that's going to help you align with this way of experiencing and connecting with yourself and your needs. So I'm going to give you a quick exercise that can help you start making these connections, and I recommend you listen to these instructions first, and then you can pause, rewind the video if you need to, and then go at your own pace. So we're going to start the exercise now first by bringing your attention into your body. So what that can look like is literally imagining yourself taking your eyes off of the screen that you're watching this on and bringing your inner gaze, your eyes into your body, like as if you're like looking down into your body from your eyes. Once you've done that, you're gonna do a full body scan from head to toe and see what you notice. As you scan, you're going to become present, or you're going to notice what's present right now in your body. Identifying just one area of sensation for right now. It could be a place where you feel some pain or discomfort, tension, tightness. And if you can, putting your hand on top of that area, if you can reach it, and let it know that you're here to support it. You are here to listen. And it might be nice to spend some time here, just really taking in that physical touch, which is also a need, by the way. Taking some physical touch. And allowing your body to feel what it feels like to be seen, to be felt, to be present. And from this place, once you feel more connected, you're going to ask what this part of you needs right now from you. And as you ask this question, make sure you're listening and not interrupting. Allow whatever wants to come through. All of it matters. All of it is relevant. You might experience some thoughts, some feelings, sensations or emotions. You might have some memories come to mind. Notice what's happening in your body as you do this. Monitoring your breath, how you feel overall. And once you feel like you want to conclude your listening process, you are going to make note of what thoughts, memories, feelings came up, and you can write them down, you can journal about it more to see if there's any connections that you can see right now to some of the inner needs that we talked about, or any other needs that you're aware of. And when you first do this exercise, if this is your first time, you might not get anything, and that's totally normal, but keep trying. I promise you that if you really set the intention of wanting to listen to your body and get to know your needs through listening to your body will eventually open up to you and share its infinite wisdom with you. Okay, so that is the practice that you can do on a daily basis to build a deeper connection with yourself, get to know your needs through your body. This is a practice that I do every single day. It's evolved to incorporate more and more tools and more layers of depth. As I said before, you can literally ask your body anything, and it goes beyond your needs too. Once you develop this skill of listening, you can ask your body anything from what you want to eat at a restaurant all the way to like, what step do I need to take in order to align with the next step of my path and purpose? Truly, your body knows all, and it's just a matter of how you ask. So all in all, getting to know your inner needs is one of the most empowering skills you can learn on your journey to becoming your most authentic and whole self. And because your body is speaking to you 24/7 through the language of sensation and pain, learning to understand it is your best bet to always having a consistent source, a way to connect with yourself, with your inner needs, and always come back home to yourself. So today we went over the needs for safety and security, for authentic self-expression, and the core 6 emotional needs and how all of these can manifest in the body. It's not an exhaustive list. If there are any other ways that you find are happening that you want to share, please leave that in the comments. I would love to read about it. And you also now have an exercise you can come back to so you can really start developing your own inner awareness of what your body is trying to tell you. So for those of you who are wanting to learn more, I have a couple things linked in the description box below. We've got my Know Your Needs course that gives you the full lay of the land of the 26 physical, emotional, and spiritual needs for your highest well-being. And it gives you all the ins and outs of how to actually start working with these needs and how to connect with them. And then if you want more guided practices like the one we did today, but more in detail and more in depth, you can check out my Listening to Your Body course, where I have 4 guided practices that you can follow. And finally, if you want even more information about how to listen to pain in particular, you can watch my first video that I have on this channel. I think it's called Pain is Your Body Speaking Your Authentic Truth, or something similar to that. So just head to the channel and check that out. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will talk to you next time.